Hey everybody, my name is Gabe, I'm with STEM Fellowship, and today we'll be talking about the trending topic of data visualization. Here at SF, we believe that innovation is a skill. With proper practice and experience, your ability to innovate will become stronger and will allow you to help better yourself and others in your society. Today we'll be building on that, and by the end, you'll be able to apply a powerful new skill set to develop stronger, smarter, more sustainable, and more successful businesses than your competitors. This workshop will have demonstrations that you can follow along with in Tableau. I highly recommend that you install it as it'll make the learning experience that much stronger. If you have it installed, great. Don't be afraid to pause the video at any point and rewind/restart if you don't know what happened. The beauty of having this as a video is that you can study at your own pace. Also, make sure that you've downloaded the required datasets. In this case, it would be the soil respiration Excel file. I'm a fan of practical learning, and as such, let's do some by jumping straight into a case study where data visualization can be used to help empower our decisions. Due to climate change, global food supplies are now at risk. As a green company, what could we innovate to help fix this problem? Take some time right now to pause the video and think up of a possible solution. It doesn't have to be immediately viable, just something that you think would work in the long run. Alright, keep that solution in mind because who knows, someday you might change the world with it. Let's take a look at my idea now. For my solution, I developed a sustainable, drought-resistant crop to help populations in areas of the world that are experiencing food shortages due to a lack of water. We may now have a product, but selling ice in Antarctica is a lot harder than selling ice in the Sahara. We need to find a suitable market to maximize our impact. What are some things that we can look for to identify a good place to open our business to sell drought-resistant crops? Pause the video right now and think up of 3 ideas. Temperature may be a good choice, as very hot or very cold locations may have a hard time growing crops, but other factors like soil quality and precipitation also come into play when identifying agricultural trouble zones. There's a problem though. We have no idea where we want to sell our crop and the world is a big place. Currently, with data from all over the world, our set can quickly jump to be in the millions of measurements. This is obviously impossible for us as a single person to quickly analyze and explain to possible shareholders. Also, if we take 10 years deciding where we want to sell, there's a good chance that by that time, the competition will already have dominated the market. Therefore, if we want to make an impact, we need to be fast. Thankfully, these issues can be controlled by using data visualization. So, what am I talking about when I say data visualization? To fully understand a new concept, I find that it helps to break down the words that make up the name and learn their meanings. So with data visualization, data is just a set of measurements grouped together for analysis, and visualization is the act of turning information into an easy-to-understand picture. Therefore, we can understand data visualization to be the use of graphics to reveal hidden patterns in our data. When creating these graphics, we're going to be constantly checking them to make sure that they're easy to understand and informative, instead of them just being pretty pictures that add nothing to what we're trying to say. In other words, we want them to be killer, not filler. I should be able to walk in, look at your visualization for the first time, or viz, same thing, and walk out feeling like an expert on the topic. Killer, not filler. But how do we do that? Pause the video right now and take some time to think about how you could create a visualization for climate change for a person who has never heard about that phenomenon in their life. Alright, with your idea in mind, let's take a look at some good examples. So, the purpose of a data visualization is not only to help you pitch your idea to potential investors down the line for your product, but to also help you inform the creation of your product itself. So looking at data, it will help you actually make responsible business decisions. This particular data viz, called Warming Stripes, is fantastic. Without using any numbers, it gives us a really good idea of how temperature has changed over time at a glance. We instinctively understand red to be hot and blue to be cold, and the person who created this viz took advantage of that. This is an excellent way to introduce someone to the idea of climate change. For your viewing pleasure, here's one for global temperatures. And this one gets me wondering, why are visualizations so good at getting their point across to new viewers? Why would we, as entrepreneurs, want to use them to sell our business idea and develop our business idea for potential investors? Pause the video right now for a few seconds just to think about it. One of the main reasons boils down to the way that we as humans learn new information. Imagine trying to teach a 2-year-old what elephants are. They've never heard of it in their life. Elephants are really alien to those living in parts of the world that they don't live in themselves. So what do you think would work best? Explaining what they are through words, showing them a picture of an elephant, or doing both at the same time? Doing both works really well, and believe it or not, many of you watching this have already been taught in this way. Ever read a picture book? That's all that this is. Following this line of thought, and considering that the human brain learns new information best when it's presented as a story, with a start, middle, and end, picture books become a great analogy for what we're trying to do here, giving words and numbers context with pictures. This is why they're so great for convincing businessmen with no experience in your data that your line of thought is correct. At the same time, it also gives you a way to actually look into this data without having to do a lot of math or really sift through the numbers very heavily. Time to dive into the theory behind the warming stripes example, the step-by-step process by which we can develop a viz to help us figure out where to sell our product. As we talked about earlier in the lecture, your data visualization starts with data. When working on a project, picking your data sets is the most important step. The quality of information you collect will determine the usefulness of your final product, so take the time and put effort into your data collection. The first step in choosing your data set is to ask a question, namely, what story do you want to tell? We want to identify drought-vulnerable areas, so looking at data relating to temperature, soil quality, and precipitation may be a good idea. The next step is to research. Are there factors contributing to your question that you may have not considered? Can you find data sets for those factors? The contents of your data set should reflect the question that you're asking. If you want to talk about climate change, your data sets should have climate data. The research you'll do may lead you to focus on certain aspects of your question. For example, instead of just looking at carbon dioxide, you may also decide to look at methane and water vapor, other greenhouse gases. Don't know where to start looking for your data? No worries. Plenty of data is available online from repositories. Big government organizations like the Canadian Space Agency and NASA have datasets open to the public. Once you have your criteria, you can browse datasets until you find the ones that help you prove your point. Sometimes these online datasets will have column names that are hard to understand. If you need help with that, you can look for readmes that help explain what the data actually means. So just as an example, I can show you right now that we have over here a readme for the soil respiration datasets that we're using today. So you can see for each variable name, which is an individual column in the Excel spreadsheet, we have a name and we have a couple of notes to go along with it so that you know exactly what's inside and what the measurements actually mean. So heading back to the presentation. Alright, time to do one of our live demos. So in this live demo, make sure that you open up your Tableau at this point. We're going to be talking about how we can actually start to import our data into Tableau so that we can begin to visualize it. So I'm just going to quickly Alt-Tab over here to Tableau. And starting from the screen over here, you see we have a blank screen. And over here under the Connect section, we can connect to many different files. There are many over here. When you're looking online for different data types, or rather different data sets, I would always recommend avoiding JSON files. There's a specific reason. I'm not going to get into the technical details, but they can end up becoming very, very messy. If you're not experienced with data science and you're not experienced with working with data sets, it can get confusing really quickly. So let's go ahead and open up our Microsoft Excel, because that's what we're working with. I'm going to browse to the point where I've saved my data set. I've saved it over here under Desktop. And we can double click to open it up. Now, if you don't see anything, that's okay. All you have to do is underneath the Sheets tab over here, just pick it up and drag it in. Now I already have it, so I don't have to do that, but you can see that we have everything already in, and there you go. Easy peasy, we already have it done. Okay, we have our data sets and they're imported into Tableau. Now what? Well, we need to make sure that we know what we actually have in our data sets that we've collected. After we understand the data sets, think about the questions we can answer using them. Now you can go through this process simply by reading the readmes and making sure you understand every individual column. New ideas may come to you if data that you weren't originally looking for is included alongside data that you were originally looking for. Lastly, is your data set messy? That's a funny word for it, but an accurate description. messy datasets can make it difficult to answer the questions that you're asking. How about we go ahead and take a look at what a messy dataset looks like. So this is messy, and the reason why I say this is, let's take a look at the actual spreadsheet that we're looking at right now. So there's a blank column that we're never going to use. So why is that there? We don't need it. We also have this fairly inconsistent column over here where there's some blanks, some names, some hyperlinks. This is fairly inconsistent and unlikely to help us at all in any sort of data visualization. Lastly, we have the same thing over here where it's inconsistent, and over here we have just a column full of hyperlinks. Now, some people can get creative with their data visualizations and decide to actually put hyperlinks into them and incorporate them somehow. I don't think we're going to do that, so I feel like this is just unnecessary fluff that further makes it difficult for us to do our job.